So, Scott, not sure where you want to start, but let's begin with this whole Ruby Dallas situation, which kind of came out of nowhere. What's the Liberal Party trying to do now?
Well, it's quite a story. The front page of Globe Mail says that Ruby Dalla has been subjected, who's running for the leadership of the federal Liberal Party, wants to be the next prime minister, has been subjected to a host of questions about a host of things. First, about improprieties with respect to sign-ups and donations to her campaign. Secondly, does she have a former conservative, maybe a current conservative, helping her with her campaign? There are strict rules about, cross-pollination. This isn't Homo sapien Neanderthal. There's no interbreeding. If you're a conservative, you're not allowed to participate in the Liberal leadership. So there's that. But most importantly is the suggestion in the Globe that Ruby Dalla's campaign may be a focus of foreign interference by the government of India. Now, two things that are important about that, maybe even three. One, their campaign has denied it. Two, the Liberal Party came out and said, that's not true. We put a bunch of questions to our campaign. Questions with respect to foreign interference were not among them. So the report is incorrect. So that's a big, big deal.
Okay.
And then third, it does cause you to go, geez, man, this is the uncomfortable space about this whole discussion around foreign interference where, based on a surname or maybe skin color, religion, country of origin for your family, people start making assumptions and associations. And so, if her name was Reid, would people be wondering if her campaign was being infiltrated by the Indian government? Maybe not quite so much. But all we know for now on that front is she denies it. The Liberal Party denies it's even been a focus of questioning. And so until and unless there's something else, I think you have to drop it.
So where did this come from? I mean, who raised the issue here? I mean, it's in the Globe. Where'd it come from?
Well, the Globe says it has a handful of sources talking about it, so it could come from a bunch of places. You know what it's like to be a journalist, so are the sources within other political campaigns who are just trying to suggest something for nefarious purposes? Although, why would anybody target Ruby Dalla? I don't think anybody feels threatened by her campaign. Has it got something to do with the intelligence establishment and that have been obviously a big source of information, anonymous and otherwise, to the Globe Mail?
Okay.
We just don't know is the bottom line. But if these things are denied on the record, then ball's on the side of that other person's net, and they've got to come forward. Those who want to spread those suggestions are going to have to come forward. I think distressingly for the campaign, these suggestions that, people that have worked for her company have like 6 people signed up using the same credit card, those kinds of questions, which are hinted at in the story, haven't been denied by the party. Those you got to wonder about. Like, is something weird going on? And, there are strict rules on this stuff. You can't just, if you run a company, you just can't have all of your workers suddenly show up with maximum donation contributions to your campaign.
Sure.
I.e., the people that say, hey, you know what, I'm going to give you $10,000 so that you can carve it up among your family to give me the legal limit. So those questions will linger.
Just seems a little late in the game for this to be an issue. It kind of makes you think it must have been a plant from somewhere, but I'm just speculating. So let me move on.
It also kind of doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like, Ruby Dalla is not going to be the next prime minister.
Fair enough. So let me talk about the big game tonight. This is Canada-USA. Donald Trump is so apparently involved in this. He posted a long note on his Truth Social page today, and yet again took a shot by calling, Justin Trudeau governor, as his wont for the last, I don't know how many weeks. What do you think here? I mean, this idea of him now deciding that tonight's game suddenly is interesting and inviting, by the way, Justin Trudeau to join the rest of the American governors in a big meeting tonight in D.C. This is not going to end anytime soon, is it?
Yeah, enough of this garbage. Enough of this destructive lunatic. Lots of people don't like Justin Trudeau. He's going to be gone in whatever it's going to be, 10, 15 days, right? So you can have a view on that. But how on earth can anybody who counts himself as a Canadian think that Donald Trump is worthy of respect? I mean, this is a guy who is literally making friends and handing to Russia anything and everything they want, including large portions of a country that he illegally invaded. He's abandoning the leadership and the people of Ukraine. So he treats his enemies like gold and his friends and allies and continental partners like garbage. We're going to be the next state. He doesn't respect our prime minister. He doesn't respect that we're an independent sovereign country. And he can't even be bothered to come to the hockey game. But he knows about hockey. I know about space travel.
Yeah.
And he's still schlagging and trolling us. So I hope to God that we score 7 goals and that we win 2 fights, and I'd like to choke it right down his giant orange throat. So let's rock, Donald Trump, and let's hope that the Canadians come out swinging and scoring tonight.
By the way, did you happen to catch the press secretary doubling down on this today?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but, this is the way it works. Like, when I worked for a prime minister, he would say, well, I want to say such and such. And we'd say, okay, sir. And you would go away, and you would take the words, and you would edit them, and you would put them into respectable language. Or you would say to him, that's a bad idea, sir. I have to tell you respectfully, here behind closed doors, that's not something you want to do. That's not something you want to say. There's no edit function in this White House.
Yeah.
You've got that clown, that puppet of a press secretary who literally just repeats whatever he says. And she is obligated. It's obvious if you listen to her. She's obligated to repeat every syllable, every bit of syntax, every malapropism, everything that he says. And it's just like the world's being run by a bad person who wants to destroy Canada's economy and who doesn't respect our holdover hockey. So, let's put the boots to him.
Hey, let me ask you a question. I had a texter send this in. We were talking about that Leger survey today where 27% of Canadians say they consider the U.S. an enemy nation, whatever. And someone said, you know what? What our position should have been from the get-go. Once Trump started talking about whether it's annexation or tariffs or whatever else, our position should have been to basically say and do nothing. What do you make of that? In other words, ignore what he said. Don't say we're going to have retaliatory tariffs. Just sit back and wait for something to happen.
Like what?
I don't know.
Like what the hell kind of argument is that? Let's just wait.
Well, the argument is that this is from a listener, that we're antagonizing him by doing that.
Right. And, in Britain was antagonizing the Axis powers when it decided in 1940 to draw a line and save the democratic world and all of Europe. I mean, I know that people get wound up about that kind of comparison, but we're in that world of that kind of comparison. This is an illegal, invasive, jurisdictional belligerence from this guy. Day in and day out. He doesn't respect the Canada as an independent country. It's not just a joke. So you can say, well, just ignore it or just tell him what he wants to hear. You tell a bully what he wants to hear, he'll tell you that he wants 3 more things. The only way to deal with a bully is to bloody his nose, push him back, and then either force him to focus his aggression on someone else or literally beat him.
Okay. I would ask, we have a minute left here, Scott. Excuse me. I want to ask, with respect to what you think, Monday night, first debate between the Liberal leadership candidates. So big night for Mark Carney. It's a French debate, by the way, on Monday night. Who has the most to lose here, him, Chrystia Freeland, or is there someone else here we're not paying attention to we should be?
Nobody else matters except Carney, and Carney's going to be the next prime minister. He's going to win this race. So I'll tell you a quick story. My old boss, Paul Martin, finance minister for a number of years, grew up in Windsor, spent his entire adult career in Montreal, in Quebec, living in French, works in French, years as finance minister. Quebec loves him. First leaders debate as prime minister, and the reaction across Quebec was almost uniform. Who's this guy? He doesn't speak French. And Paul was fluently bilingual, but it wasn't Quebecois French. Mm-hmm. And so the challenge for Carney is not just to demonstrate that he can function in French, it's to demonstrate a level of skill in French that, looking past the leadership, because that doesn't matter, he's going to win that. Looking past the leadership to the race that's ahead, will people say in Quebec, you know what, this is the right guy. And notwithstanding the fact that he's not a pure lane francophone, I'm comfortable with him and I want him. And part of that's going to be the facility he demonstrates in French, and part of it is going to be his ability to demonstrate to people in Quebec and in Canada there's a threat from the South, and I am the best person to meet that threat.
Scott Reid. Scott, thank you so much. Appreciate it.